What's up again, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Bodacious Rant with Bern and Rye. First off, I just want to say we've crossed our 200th episode recently, and it's been quite a journey the last couple of years already. So it's
a long and unexpected journey. You know, you and I have traversed this YouTube hellscape of Mordor. Carrying each other, little golems here along the way. But dang, 200! I didn't realize we crossed that threshold. That's awesome.
Oh, I know everything. No, I'm just kidding. But as Bern kind of hinted, and also I'm sure you guys already know by now, we're going to be talking about Rings of Power Season 1 in general. We already did the first four. We did the first 4 episodes, but just due to scheduling stuff the last month, I haven't been able to record, so I apologize for that. So if you guys do want to kind of recap of those first 4, some spoiler reviews, those are up, so don't be afraid to check those out. And for these last 4, we're just gonna talk about a few moments and just our general thoughts in this season, give our rantings, all that jazz. So before we get started, again, this is spoilers. So if you guys haven't been watching this so much, maybe start at our first episode and or watch the show first and then come back to us. But as always, guys, give us please press the like button just to show your support, ring the bell, and just subscribe, because it's always good to feel a part of something, and especially we all like the same stuff, movies, shows, all that good stuff.
Yeah, join our fellowship of ranting about all the cool stuff that we've been getting on movies and in TV.
Absolutely. So overall, the season was pretty solid. It wasn't as action-packed as I kind of wish it was going to be honest. But even then, with the plot being kind of slow here and there, this show, again, has broken so many grounds just on a technical standpoint. Just every episode was like a mini movie every week. And, Game of Thrones is like that, House of the Dragon, anything HBO quality, sometimes even Netflix and other stuff, but I think Amazon, I'm going to say right now, has set the standard for live action with that. And this last episode, the finale, I think really put the season out with a bang in a great way, because there was a lot of good moments that, fans of the original movies, maybe even the books, really got excited about. I know from us seeing the movies and stuff, I was like, holy shit, now we're starting to get some momentum. Unfortunately, we have to wait till next season to kind of start seeing it come to fruition. But overall, I really enjoyed this season. I mean, what did you think about this, Bern?
Yeah, man. I mean, I second your thoughts. I mean, this show, it really, like, you see the money on the screen, you see that why this show cost $65 million per episode, and like all of that, like, it's a very apparent from the very first episode to now with the finale. Like, no expense was wasted on this show, and it's pretty cool, because this world of Middle Earth, with how groundbreaking the first 3 Lord of the Rings movies were. This property of Middle Earth and all the stories within it deserves, like, to be told in a way where it's not being hampered by visual effects or anything. Like, you want to really, like, feel like you're living in this world. So the fact that they were able to do that in a TV series, again, we talked about how other shows have looked really good, and we compared to, like, oh, this is kind of like a movie level quality, but like you said, this show is a movie every single week. Like, this just looks fantastic. Like, and yeah, like even, like, I think the haters of the show would have to contend that point, that this show looks amazing. Like, the practical effects, it's just awesome. So I really did dig that. But yeah, like you, I do agree, and I think most people will agree that the show did get off to a relatively slow start, and that's sort of like in vain with, like, a lot of J.R.R. Tolkien's work, at least from what I've heard. I haven't personally read any of the books, but I've heard they're very long-winded and very detailed, and they take their time. So they very much did that here with the first few episodes, where we're getting to know these characters in this world. We're getting reacquainted with this age of Middle Earth. So while it wasn't always, like, nail biting or completely engaging from the get go, I think at the end of the day, like, what it built up to was very much worth the wait. Like, we got to see a lot of payoffs to the storylines that we were getting, and the characters that we started to get invested in. And I think where it ends here, in the finale, sets up a really even more intriguing season 2 and potentially 3, 4, and 5. So I thought they built that up very well. And at the end of the day, I do really like these characters, so I think they definitely succeeded in there, and I just want to see more of it at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. The cast was great, but again, yeah, the fact that it was a movie every week is what kept me going. Because I'm not gonna lie, there were a couple episodes, especially after 4, where I was like, "Ugh, this is a bit of a grind. Let's get to the point already, or let's keep going a little bit." Just looking back, obviously when you're watching it, you don't really think about it, but looking back, I was like, there was some stuff that could have been sped up a little bit. But in the end, again, this season was a giant setup for what's to come. The last few episodes, we saw a lot of momentum going with the story, where Mordor was created a couple episodes ago. That was a really cool, well done, and crazy moment. And this show had set up a lot of mystery and question on some of these characters, specifically the stranger that fell out of the sky in episode 1, where we didn't know who he was. I was confirmed it was Sauron for the longest time, and then Halbrand came in, and then I forgot who else I thought, who could else it be. And I thought it was gonna be a combination of the 3, but the finale, I'm glad at least it answered those questions and didn't leave a giant cliffhanger, because that would have made it very disappointing. But I really like this last episode where we find out that the stranger could very well be Gandalf, just barely coming into his magic and stuff like that, thousands of years old. Even though I'm like, I don't know if he's ever stayed that in the movies and stuff. I don't know how I feel about it. It's not quite confirmed, but there's a lot of hints at that, So either way, I'm excited. At least we finally got the wizard aspect of Lord of the Rings like set in stone. And we found out that Halbrand really was Sauron the whole fucking time, which it was a pretty great reveal. I was like, oh man, how is this gonna happen? But as soon as she started, I like that. And Galadriel, I mean, how do I put this? The storyline with Galadriel was pretty well done for the most part. She started out as like a hardened warrior, and even though she still is she's a force to be reckoned with by the end of the season, she's kind of taken off her own veil by her own like vengeance and all that stuff. Like she's grown a little more compassionate, but also she's kind of seeing through the bullshit a little bit more, especially with Halbrand this last episode. And that was such a crazy reveal, Bern. I remember after you told me a little bit about this morning, I was like, oh shit, this is like, it was true. The king of the Southlands, and we find out there's no heir to the Southlands. It was all horseshit. I was like, Sauron the Deceiver. I kept thinking about that line in Fellowship. I was like, he's been doing that the whole fucking time he's been here. So I don't know. What'd you think about that part?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was like all these storylines once they started to converge, on each other. I thought they really melded together, very well. Like, the first 4 episodes, they felt very disparate. Like everything's like everyone's doing their own thing, right? But in episode 7, 6 in particular, when the people, Galadriel and Halbrand and the Numenorians, they finally come to Middle Earth, and we start getting all these storylines, start to intertwine. That's when you really felt the momentum like kick up, and you're seeing like all the little seeds they've been planting, here and there about like hinting at who these characters could be, especially like you said with Halbrand and the stranger. I thought that tied into the Halbrand and Galadriel's storyline very well. Where her whole motivation this entire season has been like to getting revenge and finding this evil that she's been hunting for the last hundreds of years. So for it to be like her the one to bring Halbrand into Middle Earth, I was like, man, that's sort of like poetic and very ironic. Like it's like Gil-galad said in the 2nd episode, I believe, or was it the end of the 1st episode, where she was gonna because she's seeking out this darkness, she's going to be the one that ultimately brings it upon Middle Earth. And that kind of came into fruition, with Halbrand sort of being reluctant. That I guess this version of Sauron is a little bit repentant of, like what happened between, him and Morgoth, and what the falling out between him and Adar that we found out that Adar turned against him when he was trying to push the orcs into doing something that he felt wasn't like a just enough cause. So for Galadriel to be the one to like bring him into the fold and force him into this fight and making him like and sort of empowering him, it brings upon the Sauron that we know and hear about in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, where he's going to be the one that's going to try to subjugate Middle Earth. And I just thought that worked really well. And the reveal, of course, of like where he's like laying it all down for her, like, I never lied to you. You're the one who brought me here, and like, and now I feel like our connection, we can like, we can take over Middle Earth essentially. I was like, man, like they laid the seeds for that so well, and I thought it paid off tremendously in the last episode.
Exactly, and this show I think did a lot of callbacks very well to the movies and stuff. Not super outright, like very not necessarily fan service. Some of it came out organically, especially a couple lines in the finale, like calling Galadriel fair as the sea, strong in the foundations of the earth. Like it's just like when she was approached with the ring, that was her temptation to embrace the dark side. So I thought that was really good. Especially the stranger with the whole, whenever you're lost, follow your nose, like, because it smells sweet, the air smells sweet this way, or something, it smells better. So I really like the aspect, like all the throwbacks and the callbacks to the show and stuff like that. Kind of just furthering, the show did also a really good job of furthering like exploring certain cultures, like the dwarven culture, like with Durin still being around, and Khazad-dûm being a thriving city. Young Elrond, he was played really well, and I just realized today he was the guy who played young Eddard Stark in Game of Thrones, so that just flew by me. His storyline was interesting, definitely, again, not the Elrond we come to know in the movies and stuff, but this is definitely, I think Galadriel is going to be the other thing that pushes him in the seasons going, that you gotta stand up and fight. You can't just keep playing the line, walking the line. So
because
that was really
because he's not the leader of the elves. At this point, he's sort of like like a helper to Gil-galad, who's the current king and the one that's calling the shots with the elves. So yeah, definitely we're gonna see his character progression in the coming seasons too. The Hugo Weaving that we know in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So that'll be interesting to see for sure. But yeah, I mean the storyline between Durin and Elrond, that was my absolute favorite of the season. Everything that happened between them and Khazad-dûm, and the finding of the Mithril. All of that was so good, and their scenes together was so great. Like you can just feel the friendship, that they've had and lost over the years, but then now are rekindling again.
Yeah, that was some of the best moments in this season overall, and adding Celebrimbor to it was a really, I think, very smart. Just because again, it's called Rings of Power for a reason, and this finale we finally get to see the first of the rings created, the 3 for the elves, just like from the prologue of the first film, Fellowship of the Ring. So I thought that was a really great moment, and again, seeing Halbrand as Sauron kind of learn how to make this ring, it was just damn setting I just really liked the seeds it planted, this finale for the rest of the show, and just again it's playing very well into the timeline of the movies. What else I really like? Plus, I'm also curious with Celebrimbor, are they going to bring in that one ranger from the games too? Is he going to come into play? Are we going to see that come out, or is he just going to be creating the rings and we're just going to kill him off? I don't know. I'm curious with that, but I did like that the expansion of these other characters that are both familiar yet, new to the rest of the Lord of the Rings fandom. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I don't know if there is room enough to tell the story of like Talion. I mean, for the fans who are like fans of the Shadow of Mordor games, I'm sure they would totally be glad to get him here. I definitely wouldn't mind like getting a little cameo or something, but yeah, it would be interesting to see like where. Like how far do they take Celebrimbor's story in particular, and the forging of the new rings that we know of, the what was it, like the 10 for the dwarves and like the 9 for men. I forgot how many exactly.
7 for the dwarf lords and then 9 for men, and then also Sauron's, because I think I remember from the games Celebrimbor did create that ring for him. We don't know how. I forgot, so I'm curious to see how that's going to play out, unless he already made it for him. but that's unclear as of now. What else? Who else was really good? Other than that, I mean, the storylines are pretty solid. Like I said, it did drag on a little bit, especially with Arondir and what's her freaking
Bronwyn.
Bronwyn, thank you. Theirs kind of slowed down a little bit in the end. Kind of didn't really play out in the last couple episodes, but it was still great to kind of see again that humans and elves they still had a bit of a a strained relationship, that they could fall in love. Like Elrond is a half elf, half human, so that's a perfect example of that.
Yeah, I mean the Bronwyn Arondir storyline, like I think it basically culminated into the sixth episode where we got that big battle with Adar and his forces. Them leading these Southlanders group. And fighting back against Adar and his people, in which they fail. This is what leads to Mordor being created, essentially. So I think that's what the purpose of their storyline was, and like you said, showing this relationship between like an elf and a human, where this is something that we haven't really gotten, and it shows like the strained relationship that they've had over the years, and that's something that I did like too, that they sort of like brought into the show, that all these different races are very at odds with each other at this current time, and that's what kind of leads to their downfall, because they aren't united together. The darkness is able to literally tunnel underneath them and rise up stronger than they were before. So I thought that was pretty cool for like a storytelling standpoint.
Absolutely. And then I think the last thing, I guess, the Hardfoot storyline, it was very slow just because the stranger, we don't know what his deal was. But I mean, that's just the nature of hobbits, essentially, throughout this whole, Tolkien verse, that they never really tried and venture out. Only a select few did. And by the end, Nori finally going from a proud she's still a proud Hardfoot, but going from someone who never left the community, and now was starting to go on this adventure with potentially Gandalf to Rune, where he's going to learn to control his magic and all that stuff. So I thought that was pretty... It paid off in the end, at least. I will say that. Throughout the season, it's kind of slow, but at least we got a good send-off for that.
Yeah, it felt like between episodes 2 and 5, that particular storyline, was pretty stagnant. They had a lot of repeated plot beats of of basically the stranger being like, can we trust him, can we not trust him, he does a good thing, he does a bad thing, we're scared of him, we like him now. It's like, okay, like we're doing this a lot now. But once the cultists showed up in the 7th episode, and basically 6, 7, and 8 for a lot of these storylines is where it all really came together, and definitely here where we get the payoff to the stranger, and what his identity is more, and seeing him fight off these cultists was like you said, a really good payoff, and to see where potentially him and Nori are gonna go to. I'm very excited to see that for sure. And yeah, like this storyline, again, the slowest paced, out of all the ones that we've gotten, but it was a nice source of levity, in terms of the stories that were being told. So it was nice to come back to it. But yeah, like you, I was like, okay, come on, let's get the ball rolling here, guys.
I demand drama, sadness, violence, gore, all the time. So just let that be known. Imagine, good God, dude, that's just depressing. It's like, why don't you just watch Hellraiser 50,000 times? You'll be happy then. Overall, I'm going to say I would give this show... I think I'm just going to give it a 3 out of 5, just because of the pacing and stuff like that. Just because I felt like it was a little slow, even though I really enjoyed it. And again, technical standpoint, this show cannot be beat. It's just because I think it dragged on a little bit here and there that I was like, it's okay. It's definitely not for everybody, but if you're looking for a good fantasy show or something to a good world building show, because this is a potentially part of a grander, once the other seasons start kicking in and more Lord of the Rings stuff starts coming up, I think it's going to be big, way bigger than what it is right now. So I'm looking forward to the next seasons, but overall this one was okay. It was good. But again, visually can't beat it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, totally. I completely agree. For me, though, I'm gonna go ahead and give this season, a 4 out of 5. I did really enjoy, the slow parts for me. I don't really mind it. I just really liked existing in this world. Being like following these characters and really getting to know them because again, when we got the last 3 episodes, all that sort of legwork really paid off. I think, in my opinion, like we really got some great moments, and I don't think they would have hit as much had we not spent a lot of time with it. That's not to be said that they can make those storylines a little bit more interesting, but yeah, like I do think once we got to it, a lot of this stuff really worked for me, especially like the themes that we're working with here, of like doing the right things in the face of danger. I just like the overall message of this show, and I guess just Tolkien's work in general, where no matter the cost, you want to try to do the right thing. And what we have here is, characters doing the right thing and sort of paying the price for it. So, that sense of like tragedy, but like, a stiff lip in the face of danger. Like it's a lot of stuff that I really like, and especially in a fantasy setting. So, I think where it leaves off for sure, it sets up a really, really intriguing second season. So, like you, I did really enjoy this show, and I want more. And like I said, the look of the show is awesome. So yeah, lots of really good work done here, I think.
Yeah, now I just can't wait to see the other rings being created. Where hopefully I'll finally see Durin's Bane, the Balrog, come into play more so than just a quick like reveal that he's in the mountain, the caverns of Cause of Doom. What else? What else do I want to say? I just can't wait to see the fruition with the Stranger, Galadriel. I definitely want to see her kick more ass, cut off more heads. So hopefully she'll do that. Just because, as far as I know, I don't think she was in the War of Mordor, like the actual war. I think she kind of did everything, but that was a little unclear because the movies didn't really have her in that. So I'm curious to see where that goes. But overall, like I said, very, very good season. Anything else, Bern, that you wanted to highlight or maybe you're looking forward to for the coming seasons?
I mean, I just want to see what's going to go down between Sauron and Adar. Like what is he going to do? Like we see him going into Mordor at the very last shot of the show. So it's like, what is his plans now that Galadriel is aware of his true nature, and like what moves is he gonna make? Like is he truly gonna try to heal Middle Earth at this point, or like is he like now hell bent on like just pure destruction? So again, where they left that storyline in particular is like what I'm really excited for, and what I can't wait to get to. The coming battle for for Middle Earth is going to be really cool. And if it's anything like the movies, which the show's budget leads me to believe that it could be like at that level, it's going to be some pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, Sauron the Deceiver now kind of coming full motion. It's great stuff. Great stuff. But other than that, guys, for those of you who stuck with this whole season, and us as well, what did you guys think about it? Did you love this show? Were you bored by it? Were you like wowed by it? We'd love to know. Let us know in the comments so we can keep the conversation rolling and just hear your thoughts on the matter. But other than that, guys, we got, with this show being over, we got more House of the Dragon coming up. Again, Halloween Ends is out this weekend, so go check that out. We're going to as well, I believe. If not, we got Black Adam and stuff next week. So we got the movie season's coming in full swing. The only one I'm going to go all out for, I'm telling y'all right now, Avatar 2, okay? Those blue tree huggers. That's all what it's about, okay? It's a great film.
So I'm just all about the the Wakanda.
That too. I keep forgetting about Wakanda. I don't know how. But that's coming up soon too. But until next time, guys, as always, stay bodacious and keep on ranting for the both of us.
Absolutely, everybody. As always, be good, be safe, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.
Absolutely.